Yo, yo, yo. Good morning, people. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. Freedom marchers, freedom family, freedom lovers, and freedom fighters. How y'all doing today? It's Sunday, December 1st, 2024. November went by fast than a motherfucker, didn't it? Fast than a motherfucker. Time is changing, y'all. Time is changing. But one thing we must understand about time is that it's a very fluid thing. And it's an interesting concept, time, right? There is a term or a phrase known as time waits for no man, and time is on your side or time is not on your side. But time is very interesting. It's very fluid. Anyway, how y'all doing this morning, this afternoon, this evening? It is a beautiful day, kind of. You know what I'm saying? We got a little overcast. It's 57 degrees where I am right now. And yeah, I'm on my way back to Georgia for work. It's been about 11 days since I've been back. Since I've been in Georgia, I've been on, I took vacation for the Thanksgiving week. And now it's time to get back on the grind, y'all. Time to get back on the grind. So anyway, I wanted to talk about this particular subject because I feel like it's very important to understand the history behind this and the context thing that I'm going to talk about today. Particularly about not the fact that Trump is threatening 100% tariffs against particular countries, but why he would have to. Is below 50 where you at, Can't Guard J? Yep, makes a lot of sense. It is that time of year, y'all. But we're going to get into it. I don't know if you guys know what's going on, but now there are reports going around. Actually, this is something that Donald Trump actually said on his Truth Social account, that he would be giving 100% tariffs to any country that undermines or abandons the U.S. dollar when it comes to foreign trade, when it comes to international trade, and particularly with the petrodollar and all that good shit. And in particular, he would be referring to the BRICS countries. Some fucking countries, something, Russia, I forgot what the B was, but there's Russia, Iran, China, India, you know what I'm saying? Those particular countries are threatening to abandon the US dollar to start their own international trade dollar, basically, with which to trade in foreign oil and all that good shit. Well, Trump is threatening 100% tariffs because the bottom line is this, and I've talked about this before. I've talked about the US dollar and its fragility. The bottom line is, if they succeed in abandoning the US dollar for international trade and what have you, that would completely devastate the US dollar. All right, it will completely devastate it. But you have to ask yourself why. Why would it devastate the US dollar when all these other countries who don't have the petrodollar, that don't have their currency as the basically the exchange dollar, the exchange currency, right? The US dollar is the exchange currency of the world. But no other superpower or no other first world country has its very stability, its economic stability, resting on it being the exchange currency, because they don't have it as exchange currency yet. Their currency is pretty strong in their own countries and across the world. And it's a very simple answer. There's a very simple reason why. The US dollar used to be backed by gold. All right, used to be backed by gold. That is no longer the case. The US dollar is no longer on the gold standard. Nixon took it off the gold standard shortly during the Vietnam War. Why did he do that? Well, because we were spending a lot of money. We were spending I'm talking about the U.S. government. Let me be specific. Not us. The U.S. government was spending a lot of money to fund the war in Vietnam. All right, much more money than we had gold to back. Right, and the reason we were able to do this is because we were holding the gold of other countries. Right, they felt, we convinced other countries that their gold would be safe with us. And for better or worse, or for the most part, that is true. But we were spending money that we did not have simply because we had their gold in our coffers. Black Spring with Autumn was good. How you doing, Queen? How you doing? Yes, we were using our allies' gold to back the money we were spending on that war. And when they figured it out, they came and got their gold back. They got their gold back. And so what did that mean? That meant that we no longer had enough backing for the money we had in circulation. And so they took us off the gold standard and put us on a fiat currency system. All right, that's what happened. And then shortly around that time, around that same period, a little while after that, we got into it with OPEC. Not got into it, but we created a partnership with OPEC, the OPEC countries, in order that our dollar can be backed by their oil. But that's the thing, right? It's their oil. It's not our oil. So even with that, our currency is fiat currency, meaning that they can just pull zeros and ones out of nowhere digitally and just print money as they see fit, even though there's nothing to back it. But that is the illusion. The illusion is that they're not using anything to back that. The real thing, what's backing that is our children and our children's children and our children's 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 product of our time and labor and energies in the form of extortion. And so this is why Donald Trump, because if these countries do that, well, we're going to need something to replace that. We're going to need something. The value that is going to be stripped away from the US dollar is going to have to be replaced to keep it stabilized. And that's why he wants to attach these 100% tariffs to these countries. And the bottom line is, these countries would have no choice but to pay those tariffs because they make a lot of money from the United States, right? The United States consumes a lot. We consume a lot from all over the world. And if they were to lose that, their economy would destabilize, especially China's. China's economy would destabilize, and as well as India and all these other countries. Their currency would destabilize. Their economy would be in shambles as well. And see, and this is why, this is the reason China is trying to spread itself all over the world, right? All over Africa, all over the Caribbean, trying to gain a foothold in those countries with those precious resources. And they're investing in these countries all over, in Africa. They're investing in these countries in different parts of the world in order to strengthen their economy. But it's not going to be enough as of yet. And in order for it to be enough, China would have to turn hostile in order to accelerate, its return on investment in these other countries. It would have to. China would have to become hostile. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that as of right now. They don't want to be hostile, right? But they figure if they accomplish their goals in Africa, then they would no longer need the United States, right? They would no longer need the United States for trade, for foreign trade. Right now, they do need us, right? We are a large part of their economy. We are what keeps their economy going. And so they would have no choice but to pay the tariffs. Well, actually, an additional 10% tariff to China specifically, because we already have existing tariffs on China. Trump plans to hit them with a tariff, another 10%, period. Just regardless of whether or not they abandon the US dollar. They plan on hitting them with another 10% tariff attached to what they're already doing. So China's already going to get tariffed again. And then you got China, you got Mexico and Canada, of course. And then Canada is trying to convince us, oh, well, if you hit us with tariffs, it's going to increase the cost to Americans. Whatever you say, buddy. Whatever you say. No, if that happens, Canada would be screwing itself, right? Canada's economy is tied directly to our economy. So, that's just an empty threat. But see, Canada is a welfare recipient of our countries. Right? The United States subsidizes Canada, much like the NBA subsidizes the WNBA. Listen. These tariffs would not be necessary if we did not get off the gold standard. If we did not start printing money out of thin air and adding zeros and ones as we saw fit. If we were not keen on, or if our government was not keen on extorting its people at every fucking turn, we would not be in this position, right? We would not be in this position. As it stands right now, they are already committing a crime. Our government is committing a crime against us by, hitting us with payroll taxes, right? They should, that's illegal, right? That's illegal. And that's why Trump is talking about eliminating payroll tax. We'll see if he actually does that, but that's why he's saying that, right? And it's very enticing, right, to hear that. Oh, no payroll taxes from the federal government? Wow, that's pretty damn dope. Well, I think they would have to do that in the states as well. The states are getting away with extortion and all that type of shit. The bottom line is, our dollar no longer has to be backed by gold. It can be backed by gold, but we also have other resources that it can be backed by. We have plenty of natural resources right here in the United States that we have access to and we can gain access to, and that we can indeed trade across the world. You know what I'm saying? So, but if we did that, that would eliminate the need for the Federal Reserve. It would greatly weaken their position. It would make them, it would take a lot of power from the Federal Reserve away. But that's what we need to happen. To disrupt the tyranny that we are experiencing today in this country, there are certain steps we need to take. Because the consenters, right? The consenters and the voters have allowed this thing to go on much too long and have allowed our tyrants to become much too much entrenched. And so there are certain steps that need to be taken in order for a peaceable, now I'm saying peaceful, In order to have a peaceful transfer of power from the government back to the people, certain steps need to be taken. Elimination of the Federal Reserve, the elimination of the IRS, the elimination of, federal agencies such as the ATF, right? We would have to abolish the NFA, which is another thing that, the Trump Trump cabinet and the Trump administration is saying that they want to do. We'll see how far they go, right? They're already talking about abolishing the ATF and the NFA, but I don't think they talked about the Federal Reserve. I think they need to eliminate. No, I know they need to eliminate the Federal Reserve. They need to eliminate the IRS, right? We need to bring all our troops, all our assets back to the United States. Abandon all the bases all around the world. Bring the strength of our military back here and prepare to defend our country from the inside out. From the inside out. Because understand that Trump wants to hit these guys with these tariffs so that he can, this is what I would do if I were Trump and if I was legit. We all know Trump is not really legit. We know, and even if he in his truest hearts wanted to make certain changes for the American people, he is going to be hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock by the so-called shadow government. You understand what I'm saying? And so, in order to eliminate the need to hit these countries with these tariffs, we need to start gaining access and using resources we have right here in this country, right? We need to turn inward. We need to eliminate all the threats within this country that already exist. Robert Lynn Schultz was good. Pay the price of admission. It is what, yeah, for sure. Can't guard Jay. That would be nice, Snap, but I don't see the IRS and the Fed being abolished. And I don't see it. I don't see that either. But if they wanted to gain my respect, that's what they would do, right? They would eliminate the IRS and the Federal Reserve. And I agree, it's not going to happen. But that's what would need to happen in order for me to actually think that Trump is about that life. I don't think Trump's about that life. And like I said, even if he was, he would be hitting roadblock after roadblock at every turn. But outside of that, these tariffs will go a long way to stabilizing our economy. Once he hits China with these tariffs, it's going to bring back stability. It's going to reduce inflation greatly. Once he gets that Keystone pipeline back going, that's going to greatly reduce inflation and probably reverse it a little bit. You might see, I've already seen prices in some markets getting reduced. Even though in Costco, for whatever reason, Costco still feels the need to continue to inflate their prices. I just don't understand that shit. Costco's getting on my goddamn nerves. Anyway. But y'all get what I'm saying, right? The only reason we need to hit them with these tariffs in order for them to not abandon the US dollar is because, well, the US dollar is not strong enough without being the world exchange currency. If the US dollar ceases to exist as the world reserve currency, we would have a lot of problems unless we got a lot of things established. Like I said, we have to start tapping into resources we have right here in the United States on a grand scale, on a large scale. I know. What about climate change and all this? That listen. There is technologies that exist today that will and can and is already greatly reducing the carbon footprint in this country. Do you know what also reduces the carbon footprint? I'm about to show y'all. You see those? You see those green things that were that's passing in your field of vision? Those tall green things, they're called trees. Yeah. Those things. They talk about carbon sequestration, right? They want to build machines and all this type of shit to reduce the carbon footprint in the atmosphere. Well, we have natural carbon sequesters. And not only do they sequester CO2, they actually pump out oxygen as a waste product. Queen Sugar Free Mars was good. Kent Gar J's in building, Robin Schultz, Black Spring with Autumn. Y'all go check out Sugar Free Mars and Black Spring with Autumn's channel. Robin Schultz as well. Y'all go check out his channel. You guys can drop your links. Drop your links in the chat, y'all. Drop your links in the chat. We got some real ones in the building. So we have these things called trees and plants that take in CO2. But here's the problem. Here's the issue, right? There's actually reports. They're saying that the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere is declining. Do you guys understand that we need a certain level of CO2 in the atmosphere? Just like we need a certain level of nitrogen, a certain level of all these different gases. Oxygen as well. Oxygen is about 20 something percent. CO2 has a certain level. All these gases that exist in the atmosphere need to be there. They need to be there. We have to have them. Like, we can't have zero carbon, right? You ever hear them talking about zero carbon? They want to, you know what carbon is a building block of? Carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, other elements, right? Hydrogen. These are building blocks of what, y'all? These elements are building blocks of life. And carbon is a key element. It is a key building block, just as much as oxygen is. We are carbon-based individuals. Human beings are, well, all living things are carbon-based. But yet, they run around talking about carbon, zero carbon. Zero carbon? And you see, here's another issue. All the monocropping, the vast and mass monocropping that they do for all the plant eaters that feel like, oh, we need to consume all these plants. We need to monocrop. We need to all this, that. We need to, they'll tear down these beautiful, majestic, living beings right here, known as trees. They'll wipe those out. They'll clear all this shit out in order to put in place a cornfield or a soybean field or some shit like that, where they will uproot all the trees. They'll kill all the ground animals, all the insects, all that shit. They will soak and saturate their crops with all these chemicals. And then this is allowed, right? Monocropping is allowed, and and all that type of shit, because we have to satisfy this false need of eating plants. Y'all, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not just talking about a fruit is a plant, right? Fruits are plants. I like fruits. Fruits are good for you. You know, are they a necessity? No, fruit's not a necessity, right? Because what you're getting from that, you can get from animal fat. You know what I'm saying? The energy that comes from the glucose. Because at the end of the day, everything that you eat that is carbohydrate based turns into sugar, turns into glucose. It gets converted, and whatever is not converted gets pushed out as waste. Your body turns into waste. Plants, right? Plants produce more waste in the body than meat does, right? And so they want to convince us, oh, we need to stop eating meat and start eating plants. But they're not just telling y'all to eat plants, right? They want to guilt trip you for eating animals. They want to guilt trip you for eating animals. But then they will tell you to eat mushrooms, right? They'll tell you to eat yeast, mushrooms, and plants, and bugs. They want you to eat bugs too, right? Oh, bugs, yeah, they're not as important as animals. But they'll tell you to eat a bug. They'll tell you to eat that. Oh, and meat is also okay if you eat it out of a lab. If they grow the meat in the lab, you can eat that. But no, you can't raise your own animals, right? You can't do that. Oh, you can't drink raw milk from the cow because the cow, that's for the babies. Oh, only babies can drink animal milk or drink milk from their own mother's breast. Well, do y'all understand what's in milk that help babies grow? Do we stop becoming? Once we start eating solid food, are we no longer the individual we were when we were just breastfeeding? Because I have 6 children. I got 6 kids. None of them changed on a molecular level once they started eating solid foods. You get what I'm saying? So those same children can still consume raw milk from a cow and be okay. You know what I'm saying? But they want to tell you that, oh, milk is horrible. Oh, don't drink milk. Oh, it's nasty. Oh, don't eat honey because it's bee vomit. All this silly shit. Bee vomit. Okay, that's what they want to tell you. But bee vomit is hyper antibacterial, antiviral. Nothing, no harmful viruses, no harmful bacteria can live within honey. You understand what I'm saying? It never goes bad. They found 300-year-old jars of honey that were still edible, right? Oh, but they want to tell you it's bee vomit because they want to gross you out and they don't want you to eat it. Ha! Are you fucking kidding me? The enzymes and all the trace elements and properties within honey is great. Manuka honey, man, you start feeling sick, get you some zinc. Get some zinc in you. Well, you should be consuming zinc every day. You should be consuming zinc and vitamin D every day. But once you start feeling sick, up your consumption of zinc, up the dosage, and then start getting your honey in. When I eat honey, it's something magical about honey, especially if you get raw, unfiltered honey. And you know what I'm saying? They call it bee vomit. It kind of smells. It has that underlying smell of the vomit in the mucus. But that's okay. That's okay. It's perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? But like when I got raw, unfiltered honey, and I smell, it smells good, but I can smell the underlying mucus that helped produce the honey. But that it doesn't gross me out. But they want to guilt trip you into eating all these plants with all these fibers, right? Oh, the fiber is great for you, all this, that. Well, unfortunately, all the nutrients that you get from plants are locked up within the cell walls. Y'all know what cell walls are? The cellulose. The cellulose is where the fiber comes from. Your body cannot break down cellulose. So what ends up happening is the nutrients within the cell wall are locked in. And so because your body can't properly break down these cell walls, you're not going to get the nutrients that you need to get from the small portion of plants that they tell you to eat, right? You know how you get a plate, a 9-inch plate or something like that, and they tell you, oh, fill half your plate with some green leafy vegetables. Well, that's not gonna give you enough nutrition to sustain you, motherfucker. What are you talking about? Because your body has to break down. It can't break down the cell wall, so you got to chew it like a big dog, and guess what? It's still going to be locked in those cell walls, the cellulose, all the nutrients are going to be locked in. So by the time it passes through your gut, you're only going to get a very small percentage of those nutrients. And why do you think people cook vegetables? If you cook the vegetables, yeah, it'll help break down the cellulose more, and you'll get a lot more nutrients. But guess what? Because you have heated up, because of all the heat that you put to it, you're denaturing the nutrients anyway. Right? Now, the same thing is not true for the certain other elements and nutrients that you get from like meat, right? All the iron, the zinc, the copper, all those good things, the vitamin B, the vitamin B12, all those necessary nutrients that you get from meat in abundance, especially red meat, right? Oh, they love to demonize red meat. Oh, they'll tell you red meat is a cancer causer. They're still trying to convince people to this day that red meat will cause cancer, but then the American Diabetic Society will tell you to eat oatmeal and eat a cookie, eat a processed cookie with all the sugar shit, and they'll tell you to eat margarine, vegetable oil, all this bullshit. They'll tell you to eat that. They won't tell you how horrible that is for you, but they'll tell you red meat will cause cancer. Huh? I've never seen anybody that is on a meat-based diet. I've never seen them. If you eliminate all the other bullshit from your diet, if you eliminate all the processed foods, if you eliminate all the industrial seed oil from your diet, guess what? You will greatly reduce your chances to contract cancer. Oh, and they love to tell you, oh, colorectal cancer. Yeah, red meat will cause colorectal cancer. How? When you eat red meat, barely any makes it to the colon. Your body will absorb over 90% of the meat that you consume. Barely any makes it to the colon. Yeah. But they won't tell you about the fiber, right? They won't tell you about the fiber that gets caught up in your colon and forms pockets known as polyps. And then those polyps, if left unchecked for 10 years, can turn into cancer. They're not going to tell you that the polyps and the diverticulitis and all that shit is caused by fibrous materials. Fibrous materials, not food. Fibrous material. Fiber is not food, y'all. But guess what? Meat, most of it does not make it to your colon. So how is it causing colon cancer? Yes, honey is the base for meat. But, these are just some of the lies they tell you. I don't know how I got to that when we were talking about the tariffs, but all this shit is connected. All this shit is connected. But like I was saying, they tell you about the carbon footprint. Well, that's what I was saying. We have technology, right? We like in the in vehicles, in the exhaust system, they have what is known as scrubbers that remove a large amount of CO2 from the exhaust. It scrubs it out. So most of what your vehicle is spewing out of the tailpipes is not CO2, right? Much of it is not CO2. Some does get out, but not nearly as much as they would like you to think. You understand what I'm saying? But if listen, these tariffs and all that shit, these tariffs and all these things that Donald Trump plans to do is only necessary because we have allowed our government to have his way. Yeah, Donald Trump would not need to do any of this. We would not need Donald Trump to come in and save the day. Like, how many times are we going to look in how many ways, for what, how many reasons are we going to look for Trump to just come and fix everything? I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting tired of it. Right? It's like, I understand the need for leadership. I understand the need for leadership. But if you're going to look to somebody for leadership, those leaders should not be out of reach, right? Those leaders should not be out of reach. What do I mean by that? How many of y'all can call Donald Trump right now and get guidance from him? How many Trump supporters can call Trump right now and get some advice and say, hey man, you know, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, I don't know what to do, you know, I lost my job, and you know, rent's due, or you know, whatever, right? For whatever you need a leader for. How many of y'all can call Donald Trump right now and ask him to help directly, personally? Your heroes and your leaders should be within arm distance of you. If that's what you're going to look to do, if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for leadership outside of yourself, well then, those leaders should be well within reach. Now, in a perfect world, Trump is really about that life, and he's trying to do what's good for the American people. If that were really and truly the case, let's say it was, it still would not be wise to wait for Trump to do anything. Because if you're not willing to help get yourself out of certain situations, if you are not willing to step up and fight for your own freedom, then Trump is not going, he's not going to have the energy to do it all for you. If y'all really think Trump is about that life and y'all looking up to Trump to handle shit for you, yeah, he can put tariffs on these countries. He can open up the Keystone Pipeline. He can eliminate the ATM. He can eliminate the National Firearm Act, the NFA. He can, you know, abolish all these federal agencies. But at every turn, he is going to be stonewalled. He's going to be stonewalled. And meanwhile, what are y'all going to do? Y'all going to sit back and watch. Y'all going to say, oh, hopefully Trump can make this happen. And if he doesn't make it happen, then what? If Trump can't get none of this shit done, and y'all wasted 4 years waiting on Donald Trump to get shit done, are you any better off? Or are you going to start to behave as though you really want to be free? And that, yes, while Trump is trying his best, I need to step up and try my best. We collectively, as free-loving individuals, we need to step up and do our part to make it easier for Trump. Are y'all even doing that? Jay with open eyes for it was good. LOL, none of them, but it's gonna keep them from dicking. You funny. Hey, I'm like you, tyrant. I'm colored and I love. Oh boy. No, I don't love Trump. Y'all love Trump. That's why the last time he was president, when he was doing all this, that, and the third, when it looked like he was making progress, y'all didn't do shit. And then when Modelo 19 came through, the pandemic, and when the Marjorie Stone Douglas mass shooting happened, and he decided to ban bump stocks and push for red flag laws. When he did all that, he was able to do all that because guess what? Y'all just sat back and just expected him to do everything for you. Sugar Free Mars, yes, is one of my trolls that like to come through. This guy Ricky, whatever the fuck, he is a supporter of Minor Mouse, who I was telling you about when I was doing my Ruckin' Live the other day. Yeah, he's one of those guys. Yeah. So I mean, this is nothing new for me. He is a troll that comes through from Minor Mouse. He probably is Minor Mouse, but it is what it is. Anyway, so I mean, listen. The point of this live stream, right? The point of this live stream is to help y'all understand that if Trump is doing anything for us, he can only do it at a certain level. And so, as individuals, as smaller communities, we have to step up and demand our rights back, demand our freedoms back. We have to ignore certain laws, unconstitutional laws that we have excellent standing to ignore. Look up Ricky Manor. All right. Okay, Ricky. Whatever you say, buddy. Listen, man. Okay, so Donald Trump did all these amazing things, right? But when Modelo 19 came through, who initiated Operation Warp Speed, which brought about the hokey pokey and caused all those problems? Donald Trump did that, right? Why? Because y'all just sat back and said, oh, whatever Trump does, it must be good. Like, listen, man, I had Sugar Free Mars, you funny. I had a discussion with ABL, Anthony Brian Logan, right, when Donald Trump initiated the bump stock ban. And he is supposed to be a staunch 2A supporter. But because Donald Trump banned the bump stocks, he made every excuse under the sun for Donald Trump. See, that's the problem with status. That's the problem with people with law and order motherfuckers. See, I have a problem with law and order. I have a problem with man-made law and man-contrived order, right? Because typically when man makes laws, it's not for the benefit of the people. It's in order to place as many restrictions. It's to keep the shackles on, right? 99.9% of man-made laws are designed to keep the shackles on the slaves, right? And mostly they're deterrents, right? It's the fear of the punishment that you'll receive from breaking that law that keep you from breaking that law. Well, once you get past the fear, and understand that, well, hell, this law don't make no goddamn sense. It becomes much easier for you to operate as an outlaw. You get what I'm saying? An outlaw, not a criminal. You know, it becomes much easier because a lot of laws in the books is complete and utter bullshit, right? Complete and utter bullshit. Just like the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the UCMJ. When I was in the military, the UCMJ is this fucking thing. Every soldier, every active duty soldier violates the UCMJ every single fucking day and could get charged with an Article 15 every single day that they existed within the military. You understand what I'm saying? The UCMJ is a paper tiger, just like man-made laws, just like the Constitution is a paper tiger. Man-made laws are paper tigers, right? It's your belief in them that keeps it, that helps it be enforced. But I want you guys to understand how impotent law enforcement is. Law enforcement is so impotent that when the Trena de Agua, whatever the fuck you call the motherfuckers out of El Salvador, or not El Salvador, whatever them country, whatever that, y'all know what I'm talking about. The Venezuelan gangs, they can operate within a city and do as they choose, and law enforcement will sit back and do nothing. And they'll say, well, we've been hamstrung by the commissioner, by the police chief, by the sheriff, the mayor, whoever. We've been told to stand down, not do anything. And these gangs have been allowed to do whatever they choose. And our government, you know, our so-called law enforcement, the so-called leaders within our communities, well, they just allow it to happen. They allow it to happen. So what does that tell you? If they can't stop them from operating as criminals and outlaws, actual criminals, right? Because what does a crime do? It creates a victim. That's what an actual crime does. If there's no victim, there's no crime. So, if these Venezuelan gangs can operate outside of the law as outlaws and criminals, what's to stop the actual citizens, the so-called citizens, right? What's to stop the people that actually live there? What's to stop them from operating as outlaws as well and running these damn gangs out? Well, the cops can't stop them. How are they gonna stop us? That's the mentality we need to have, because we understand that they pick and choose when they enforce the law, right? And who they enforce it against. Oh, here comes Mr. Duke, another Minor Mouse supporter. I love how you guys just can't get enough of me. Robert Lynn Shaw says, oh, I know he effed up on a few things. He has to make up for it for his transgressions. Well, we'll see what he does, but I mean, we're at the point in time right now where we can't just sit back and wait for Trump to do shit. And hell, even if we had who we wanted to the Rainbow Coalition, Sugar-Free Mars, the Rainbow Coalition's in the building. Even if we had who we wanted in office, let's say my favorite guy, let's say an anarchist became president, a true and actual anarchist. Well, he has a lot of shit he got to worry about. He has to dismantle a lot of government bureaucracy. He has to focus on breaking up the central government. So while he's doing that, guess what we got to do? We got to handle our business. We have to start standing up and rising up and doing what we can to extract the tyrant class from our communities. So that when our anarchist president is ready to make his move, when he's ready to start get shit cracking, well, guess what? The shadow government, they can look around and say, man, shit, we got problems. And they won't have they will have no choice but to come to the table and negotiate our freedom. Yep. Negotiate it. Because I can tell you guys this. I'm not delusional, right? Yes, I have some ideal views, right? I have idealistic views. And, you know, a lot of it seems fantastical to a lot of people. I understand that there will be tens of millions of people that will still want to be, you know, under government rulership, right? They wouldn't know what to do with their freedom. So, you know, let them have their little piece. Okay, you want government to control you? Go over there. Government can control you as long as you consent to be governed. Go ahead and give your consent and go over there. But those of us that remove our consent, leave us be. We can't even remove our consent, like it says in the Constitution. The Constitution says that we give our consent to be governed. So it gives us an out right there. But, you know, of course, they will resist that. But you have to put certain things in place. It's like chess. It's like chess. So even if we got somebody let's say the President Trump really wanted us to have our freedoms. Well, you can't have them when the central government is still in place. So Trump should be actively working to break up the central government and give the power back to the states at the very least. Give state powers back to the states and then break it down from there. Break it down from there. Release all the federal lands around the country. You know what I'm saying? And you go from there. It would take a lot of time. It would take a lot of time. The bottom line is, it has to happen, or we're gonna have problems. We're gonna have problems. And then we got to start minding our own business. Let these other countries do what they want to do. I mean, we're not responsible for the safety and security for every goddamn country in the world. Nor do we need all their resources. We so goddamn greedy, right? If we minded our business, we would not need to place these tariffs on these countries. If we brought manufacturing back to the United States, if we focused on being isolationists instead of the world police, why do we need to be the world police? Let NATO operate as NATO does. Let NATO do what they do. We don't need to be any part of NATO. We don't need to be a part of the World Health Organization. Let NATO, the World Health Organization, let them do their thing, right? Y'all go over there. We're going to stay over here and mind our own business. And if we want to operate, if we want to trade with other countries, we'll do so as we see fit. There's nothing wrong with that. But y'all mind your business. We mind our business. Israel, sorry for you, but you're going to have to handle your own business. We're not giving you no more money. But see, Trump's not going to do that. Trump's not going to stop giving money to Israel. That's for damn sure. He might stop giving money to Ukraine, you know, but he's not going to stop giving money to Israel. And as it stands right now, Israel and Hezbollah has a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Now we can stop spending money and sending money to Israel. Well, now they're talking about doing the same thing in Israel, in Ukraine, and Russia. Okay, that's a perfect start. Now that we got that going, we need to bring everybody back. Bring all the troops, dismantle all the bases around the world, right? And concentrate on removing the threats within the country, because they're here. They're here, right? At the risk of sounding like a xenophobe, they have allowed millions of invaders to enter into the country on purpose. On purpose, right? And I'm not talking about Mexicans, and I'm not even talking about the Venezuelan gangs. Those are just, that's nothing compared to the level of threat we'll be facing from countries like Russia, China, North Korea, that have been able to come into the country. Iranians, right? They have allowed these people into this country. And on top of that, we have human traffickers operating within this country using plane vouchers that we gave to them, right? we have given, listen, I told you guys about some traffickers that got arrested that were using plane vouchers and doing all these things to go across the country and handle their human trafficking business. So we have to focus on extricating the threats that we got right here in the United States. Oh, because they let that shit go deep, right? That right now, they're not doing much but planning. I can guarantee you that. These people, they're planning. 75, worst year. See, I told you, Sugar Free Mars. Minor Mouse supporters. They just can't leave me alone. Sugar Free Mars, of course he pledged loyalty to Israel. Of course. You see, here's another thing we got to understand. What year was that? I think it was 2019. I was doing a live stream on my way to Costco, and I was talking about what Nancy Pelosi said, right? I was talking about what Nancy Pelosi said about Israel. Here is our government's position on Israel. Nancy Pelosi basically said, y'all can go back to that live stream way back in 2018, 2019. I forgot which one it was, when I was still living in Los Angeles. I talked about how Nancy Pelosi made it clear that no matter what happens, no matter how poor and destitute the people of her own country are, Israel will always get our financial support. They will always put Israel first. Always. It doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter what dire straits we're here in the United States. They will continue to give our money to Israel. But Israel doesn't just have our money. Sugar Free Mars, exactly, meat riders. You see, Sugar Free Mars, they're hanging on this this fact that me and Minor Mouse, before I knew he was a diddler, right? Before I knew he was a child diddler, they're because he came to Los Angeles, right? He was interested in doing gang violence prevention. Now he's from Virginia, all right? And you know, he wanted to, because he was doing this guns down, gloves up movement thing across the country, but he was having a hard time in LA because LA gangs don't play that shit. They don't play that guns down, gloves up shit, right? I mean, listen, it's a very difficult task, right? LA gangs are a little different. They're a little different. They're different than Virginia gangs. They're different than Georgia gangs. They're different than Arkansas. All these other gangs all across the country, they're different. They're built different. But he came out to Los Angeles. Look, I know a lot of gang members. I know a lot of OGs from gangs. I know a lot of shot callers. And I was able to give him access to I was able to get him in touch with somebody who had access to A-Tray Gangsta Crip. He's an A-Tray Gangsta Crip OG by the name of Babu. All right, but he had just got out of prison. But he's an A-Tray Gangsta Crip OG. I was able to get him in touch with him. He actually did an interview with him. I set all that up. But while he came out, the first time he came out to Los Angeles, I really didn't know him that well, but we met up at the park to spar, to do some sparring. And before he showed up, I was there an hour earlier doing a lot of drills. I like to do. I was doing the jump rope. I was doing some sprints, all kind of shit before he showed up. So I had pre-exhausted myself on purpose. That's what I like to do before I spar. I like to pre-exhaust myself so that when the sparring happens, I'm under a great deal of stress and I can see how I handle myself. But I pre-exhausted myself before he showed up. And we got the sparring, and his side chick filmed it, right? Now, during that sparring, I was focusing on defense. It was a sparring match. It was like I wasn't even going 10%. I was focusing on defense because he's much shorter than me. He weighed more than me, but he was much shorter. Like, I think he's like 5'8". I'm like 6 foot, 6'1" or something like that. And, he is a short, squat guy. He likes to use the high guard, right? And when an opponent is much shorter than you and they're using that high guard, it's very hard to get them with body shots. It's very hard to penetrate their defense, especially if they know how to use that high guard. But anyway, he landed a couple shots on me, right? I landed like a couple on him, whatever the case may be. It was very boring. It wasn't like, I wasn't letting my hands go on purpose. I wasn't trying to go in on him. But they call that him destroying me in a fight. So it was first of all, it wasn't a fight. It was a friendly sparring match where I was working on my defense and working on picking my shots against a much shorter fighter, much shorter than me. And it wasn't what it was. We did 3 2-minute rounds. Like I said, I had pre-exhausted myself, so I wasn't necessarily trying to go in on him. I wasn't. And so they used that, and once I started exposing Minor Mouse on my channel, I used my channel to bring attention to the fact that this guy is running around the country, putting on events at parks where kids are and all this type of shit. And he had lied about his charges, and he lied about the events around his charges. And I was able to finally see what was in his police reports. He basically took a 14-year-old girl that was the daughter of his girlfriend. He was supposed to take her to school, but he took her to a hotel instead and had his way with her. But what he tried to tell us, oh, I was just pimping the mama and all that other shit, and she got mad and snitched. Called a 14-year-old girl a snitch. So, but it came to light that wasn't fucking true. No, you took her daughter to a hotel and had your way with her. 14 years old. You was a 27-year-old man. Yeah. He told us he was 18 or some shit. Oh, I was 18. I was whatever. He said that he was 18 and that he was pimping out, or 20 or whatever the fuck, much younger than he actually was. He said he was early 20s, late teens, and he was pimping out the mama and all this silly shit, lying like a fucking big dog. He used to run with street beefs. I don't know if you're familiar with street beefs. He used to run with them, and people caught wind of it. And street beefs, the guy that runs street beefs, Scarface, he believed the story as well that Minor Mouse told. But when he finally figured it out that was a lie, he kicked him out of street beefs, and then he tried to do his own thing. But anyway, once I found out what the reality was, I started putting his ass on blast. Way back when on my YouTube channel. Of course he got mad, and then, you know, that's when the video, oh look, I destroyed, back then I was going by the YouTube name Tyrant's Bane. Oh, I destroyed Tyrant's Bane, and you see 3 2-minute rounds of just bullshit. It was nothing, right? But he, in his mind, he destroyed me. The bottom line is he's full of shit. He's a liar. And then I moved out of California on my own accord in 2022. I made it to where once I found out what he was about, trust me, I spread the word in Los Angeles. I made sure motherfuckers knew in LA that if he tries to put an event on in LA, he might have some problems. You understand what I'm saying? And of course, ever since then, he was not able to put on any events in LA. But then, because I left California, he apparently, because I don't watch his content no more. People are coming to me telling me that he said he ran me out of Los Angeles. How the fuck you run me out of Los Angeles? How you run me out of LA when you were coming to me for access to LA gangs? How you run me out? But see, that's what he's a pathological liar. You see what I'm saying? And so every now and then Dead Mike, I don't know if you've seen Dead Mike in my chat. Dead Mike is one of Minor Mouse's supporters. He tries to come in here and act like he rolls with me, but he's full of shit. But you know, it's all good, you know. Anyway, he ran me out of Cali when I could push a button. I have the ability to push buttons in Los Angeles, but I'm not about that life because I'm not a gang member. You know what I'm saying? But I have the capability and the ability to do it. I can do it if I want to. But you know, it is what it is. Now, if a guy like Minor Mouse was trying to put on events at parks in Los Angeles where kids are, and all this, and where kids go, and all that type of shit, trust me, I would push a button. But he hasn't done it. But then, you know, he started driving trucks again, and he was living in Las Vegas, and he had a route into California, you know, and so they were saying, oh look, I can go to LA, but you're driving a truck and you're dropping off a shipment. Whatever, man. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. The bottom line is, Minor Mouse has these guys, they come in here, and like I said, when I was back in Los Angeles doing my rucking lives, they would make threats and all that, and I say, all right, come on up here. Come on, you know where I'm at. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. No, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I'm up here every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday for 2 or 3 hours doing live streams while I'm rucking. Okay, come on through. Nobody ever showed up. But that's how these people are, man. And I didn't have nobody with me. I was by myself. So it is what it is. Duarte Handyman, what's good? What do? I am an electrician by trade. Right now I'm working as a quality control manager for an electrical contractor in the Southeast. So yeah, that's what I do for a living. Mad sassy, sugar free. You know, and what's funny is he did try to hit me with some privacy strikes. Talking about I was exposing his private information. No, motherfucker, you no longer have private information. He is a registered sex offender. He is on the website. That means you have no privacy. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can go, his name is Christopher Yarborough. That's his real name. You can look his ass up on the sex offender registry and find out where he lives. You have no privacy. You understand? So, right now I'm working in Georgia. Duarte. Working in Georgia right now. But yeah, it's sick shit. I vouch for this dude. I vouch for him because not only did I vouch for him with Babu, I was able to get him an interview with Babu. And they were actually going to organize some events, some guns down, glove up events, basically where guys can, scrap it out instead of shoot it out. And they were going to work very hard to do that, but because this information came out, I had to put the kibosh in that. Not only did I get him access to Babu, I was also going to get him access because Babu is part of a Crip gang, right? A-Trey Gangsta Crip is a Crip gang, obviously. But I was going to get him access to Crenshaw Mafia, Inglewood Families, Black P Stones, Rolling 60s. You know what I'm saying? Just multiple gangs just to try to make something happen, right? And, what was interesting was he was this white guy from Virginia, tattooed up, you know what I'm saying? A felon, a convicted felon. He had been sent away for other crimes too, not just the sexual offender shit. He had other shit that he got locked up for. But, he was making shit happen in other states where he was organizing these events. You know what I'm saying? And it looked like, and it actually might have been doing something good. But the problem is, you lied about your case. You lied about the events surrounding your case. You tried to demonize and villainize the young lady that you victimized, right? By calling her a snitch, right? Because he did a video explaining the situation when all this shit started blowing up on him. And he was telling this bullshit story. And then he was talking about how the girl went and told on him. But the way he said it was like, this little bitch snitched on me. Basically, he didn't say that exactly, but his body language and the way he said it told me that you had no contrition. You have no, you know what I'm saying? You do not fit. You have zero remorse for what you did to this young lady. And that's when I knew that he was full of shit. And then shortly after that, I started seeing the police reports. And he pled guilty, y'all. He took a plea deal for sexual deviancy, right? So he pled guilty, goddammit. He pled guilty to raping a 14-year-old child in a hotel room. He pled guilty to that. And he took a plea deal as a lesser charge. So not only did he not fight it in court, right? Because I know if someone accused me of something like that, and I know I didn't do it, there is no plea deal that I'm taking. I don't care what you reduce it to. I'm fighting this shit in court. He did not fight it in court. So the initial charge was worse than the charge he got. That still labeled him as a sexual offender. And he ended up doing 4 years for it. He pled down, I forgot what the exact charge was. I forgot what the exact charge was. He pled down, basically, it was, I think it's lewd and lascivious behavior with a 14-year-old or something like that. Sexual assault of a 14-year-old, something along those lines. Yeah, he took a plea. He pled down to raping a 14-year-old child. Yeah. And then he came up with this bullshit about Virginia being a commonwealth, and in commonwealths all. Listen, I don't give a fuck if it was a goddamn uncommonwealth. I don't give a fuck what the fuck it was. I'm not if I'm innocent of a charge like that, there's nothing you can offer me to plead guilty to that. It's kind of like brother Polite, even brother Polite situation. I don't know if you guys are familiar with brother Polite. Brother Polite had a very similar situation in Florida, and he pled down to abuse of a child. Right? He pled down to child abuse, basically child abuse. There were 2 counts of child abuse. Allowing a minor to consume alcohol and drugs, something like that. And even though what he took a plea for did not mention any sexual stuff, he still has to do 7 years and 7 years probation, during which time he has to go through a sex offenders course, a sex offender thing, right? Where he has to basically say, he has to go to classes and all this stuff to try to take the sex offender shit out of it, like some type of rehabilitation for child sexual abusers. So even though the charges he's pled for does not mention sexual abuse to a minor and only just regular abuse, he still has to attend these classes for sex offenders. And if he violates his parole during, I think it's actually 10 years, during these 10 years, then all those other charges will come back, and all the sexual child abuse stuff will be on him once again. So if he completes the 10 years and goes through all the sex offender courses, well, then he doesn't have to register as a sex offender afterward. I'm not even taking a plea deal like that. If I'm innocent and I know I did not do this shit, I am not pleading down to anything even like that. So the fact that he pled guilty, minor mouse, to child sexual abuse and all that, I mean, no, you're not. No, I'm not. I think he said, whatever. You're not doing that as an innocent man. If you are innocent or not guilty of child sexual abuse, and that's what they're trying to charge you with, you're not going to take a plea deal. You're going to fight that shit in court. Hell, even if I ain't got no money and I got to represent my goddamn self, oh, hell no. I will risk the maximum sentence. I will risk the maximum sentence. I'm not taking a plea deal. What him taking a plea deal tells me is that they had way too much evidence for him to fight it. That's what it tells me. And so he was like, man, my goose is cooked. I'm going to take this plea deal. I'm going to do the 4 years, and whatever the case, I will get on the sex offender registry, and then I'll just tell people that, oh, the Commonwealth of Virginia, man, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. I don't give a fuck if you was facing the gas chamber, goddammit. If you're innocent, if I'm innocent of that bullshit, I am taking the gas chamber. I'm risking the gas chamber. I'm risking hanging. I'm risking a fucking firing squad. I'll risk flaying me. You can flay my skin before I plead to that shit if I'm innocent. No, fuck that. You got me fucked up. So if you innocent, you don't take a plea deal for that type of shit. That's just the bottom line to it. So anyway, I know I'm way off topic, but it is what it is, y'all. I mean, I had a long drive ahead of me. Anyway, so that's what we're dealing with, y'all. We're dealing with, in a nutshell, sugar-free Mars. That pretty much sums up that situation. So, and throughout this time, it wasn't just me calling out Minor Mouse. There were other guys too, other guys that were speaking on it and all that type of shit. And you know, he had a lot of supporters, still does. He had a lot of people making excuses for him. He had a lot of dudes still rocking with him because he was able to amass a huge YouTube following and was getting paid pretty good off of it. So of course he had, these idiots that were still rocking with him, even with all the evidence we presented towards his guilt. They still rock with him. And so some of these guys, they'll still come in my chat and they'll talk their little shit. They'll talk their little shit. Yeah, exactly, Sugar Free Mars. There are a lot of sick individuals see, a line was drawn when that whole ordeal came about. A line was drawn. A lot of dudes crossed that line. A lot of dudes. A lot of dudes crossed that line. And yeah. So naturally, when all those dudes crossed that line and they were supporting him, and they were going around threatening people for him and all that type of shit, threatened me as well, but I called their asses out. I called their bluff. Told them where I was going, told them where I was hanging out. It emboldened him, of course, right? And so he calls himself a professional MMA fighter. And he's pretty good. He's pretty good at the fighting thing. But, you know, he'll call guys out. Oh, if you really believe that, come fight me. No. I don't give fair fights to child sex abusers. No. You pled guilty to child sexual abuse. Why would I give you a fair fight? No, you already threatened me. Your people threatened me. If I see you in person, there's not going to be a fair fight. I'm going to throw these dumb shells, so you better run well. That's what's going to happen. You understand what I'm saying? Child sexual abusers don't get, you don't get a fair fight. You don't get a fair fight. Why would I give a child sexual abuser a fair fight? A known, proven, guilty pled sex offender. Why would I give you a fair fight? You're not getting a fair fight. So, you know, that was his thing. His thing was, that was his answer to everybody that was calling him out. Oh, well, come fight me. I'm doing this event in this place. I'm doing this event in that place. If you don't pull up and fight me, then you full of shit. That was his thing. But, you know, no real man in their right mind would show up to give him a fair fight when he's child sexual abuse, right? No one. But he had a lot of people protecting him. He had a lot of dudes protecting him. It is what it is, though. Oh yeah, Ken Garjay. Minor Mouse does have a whole cult. Yes, he does. Real talk, Sugar Free Mars. Mark ass Buster, exactly. But yeah, so he tried to do little things. He tried to hit me with copyright strikes and, you know, privacy strikes on YouTube to try to take the channel down. It didn't work. He got some people though. He got a few people with that. But see, I knew how to hit. I knew the angle. First of all, he's not even supposed to have his own YouTube channel. That's number one. As a registered sex offender, part of the condition of his release is that he cannot have a social media account in his name. I don't know what the fuck just happened. So, like I was saying, he was using the social media account, even though his wife was in control of it. YouTube got wise about it, understood what the fuck he was doing, and snatched his channel away. So then he started a channel in his son's name. And most of it is basically about his son. And hopefully he's not doing some weird shit with his own son. But But this is the world we're dealing with, y'all. See, if in a world, in my world, if I had anything to say about it, if a child sexual abuser is proven as such, a child sexual abuser, then there is no longer any reason that they should be living on this earth. If you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that a grown-ass man or woman is a child sexual abuser or a rapist of anyone, whether that victim is a child or not, there's no longer any reason for them to be living on this earth. Even if they get convicted and you want to why are we sentencing these people to life in prison? Why are we funding their existence? Why are we giving them 3 hots in a cot for the rest of their life? No, we need to take them out back and handle it with a 50-cent bullet. That's just the bottom line. That's how I see it. But, you know, the elite class ensured that they ensured that the justice system takes it easy on child sexual abusers, because much of the elite class are child sexual abusers, and if they get caught, they do not want to get dealt with in that manner. That's why child sexual abuse laws are quite lenient in my mind. If you're not putting them fuckers to death, you're too lenient. But the dominant culture being what it is, the dominant culture, you know, the culture that is upheld and controlled by the elite class. I mean, that's how they got it. If you're an armed service member, if you're an armed service member, then UCMJ, much less egregious as child sexual abuse, they can kill you. Summary execution. Right? One of those is wartime desertion. Like if you are a deserter, let's say you desert, right? Let's say you have been deployed and you're at war. Well, if you leave the ranks, as soon as you leave the ranks and go in the opposite direction of the firefight, and they are convinced that you have deserted, they can kill you right then and there. They can kill you. Summary execution. There are a lot of things within that UCMJ that will allow them to give you a summary execution if you violate that section of the UCMJ. And not, you know, it just depends on how egregious it is. But I mean, if sodomy can get you life in federal prison, according to the UCMJ, sodomy could be hitting your wife from the back in the vagina. You can hit your wife doggy style, and if they find out, I think they can give you 2 years, up to 2 years in federal prison. Sugar Free Mars says that's their history. They're always upheld and practice that. Absolutely. Unleavened Evan, what's good? How you doing? Says it looks like YouTube doesn't like calling out social media platforms for being PDF file networks. Well, you know what's interesting? What's interesting is that certain things that will violate the YouTube terms and conditions and all that are way less damaging than the things that are allowed to be played on YouTube. Like, you know, you can, it's crazy. It's crazy what you can get away with on YouTube, as long as you don't talk about Modelo 19 and so-called medical misinformation. Yeah, you can show violence, you can show ass whippings, you can show blood, you know, you can You might not get monetized, right? That's why they're blurring out if they're showing shorts and there's like some violence, they'll blur it out, but they won't take your channel down. They'll just demonetize you. But if you say Anthony Frosty, funded gain of function research in a laboratory, like I said, which is actually have been proven. I did that when he was having a discussion. I was talking about how, this was a few years ago, I was talking about how Rand Paul was calling out Anthony Frosty. And all I did was play the discussion, and I gave some commentary. They gave me a community guideline strike and took the video down and called it medical misinformation. I was not commenting. I was just talking about what they were saying. But they hit me with a community guideline strike for it. Oh, Sugar-Free Mars, as I recall, it's not life for that. I think it's up to 2 years. I think you get up to 2 years. But there are certain, it's been so long since I cracked open the UCMJ. I don't remember everything, but when we were in basic training, they went over a lot of shit in the UCMJ. And they brought up the sodomy and said you can get up to 2 years. I think it's 2 years in federal prison for sodomy of your wife. And don't commit adultery. Oh my God. If you commit adultery, I think that can get you life. Yeah. Committing adultery, that gets you a lot of time if you're in the military. Even your wife can go get in prison if your wife is not active duty. She can be charged with adultery and get in trouble as well. Yeah. Adultery. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I mean, it's wrong. Is adultery wrong? Yeah, sure. It's not right? You made a commitment to somebody and, you went back on that commitment. But, I mean, life in prison for now, do they actually do that? No, not really. They don't really do that. What they'll do is, I know guys and girls in the military that got caught committing adultery and they just got kicked out the military. They don't have to exercise the full extent. They don't have to exercise the maximum. Hell, even people that deserted, I haven't seen very many deserters actually be executed. Like, they'll just boot you out, give you an other than honorable discharge or a dishonorable discharge, and then you can never get military, you can't get veteran benefits, shit like that. They won't necessarily go full bore with it, but they can if they wanted to. 11 Evans says, my first channel was taken for self-defense compilation. That's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's wild. Oh, here goes Dead Mike. Thou shalt not covet my neighbor's thick wife. That's funny. And I am ashamed to say that I did participate in adultery when I was in the military. Yes, I did. But that was a young me. I was married. I got married early, and my wife was already accusing me of shit I wasn't doing, and I just got fed up. So anyway, that's another story that I won't get into right now. But I've been on here for over an hour and a half, y'all. I gotta pull over and handle my business. I gotta find me a gas station and drain the lizard. But I appreciate you guys coming through and hitting the like button and all that good stuff and checking me out. Peace and love to you too, Sugar-Free Mars. I'm glad you came through. I always enjoy your company and everyone else. I enjoy you guys, man. I thank you guys for coming through. And believe it or not, it makes this trip go by a lot faster. I'll tell you what. I still got 2 hours, but you know, it is what it is. For sure. Anyway, guys, much love. Like, share, subscribe. Before y'all leave, any channel holders in the chat, y'all go ahead and drop your links so that people can come check you guys out. All right. Anyway, much love. Like, share, subscribe, and we're gonna keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.